Few analog horror series have achieved what Vita Carnis has accomplished. What began as a simple educational program about creatures made of flesh slowly transformed into one of the most memorable stories the genre has ever produced. A fully realized world built on impossible organisms, hidden conspiracies, forbidden science, and a war between humanity and the unknown. Vita Carnis isn't just biological horror. Behind every creature lies something deeper, an entire ecosystem evolving in the shadows, a cult obsessed with what they believe to be a divine revelation, an organization that began as a resistance movement and ended up corrupted to the core, and a group of revered entities that don't simply watch. They decide, judge, and act. Today, we're going through all of it, from the earliest records of the crawl to the global collapse that marks the end of Season 2. Vita Carnis was the very first series I covered on this channel, the first analysis, the first big project I ever dared to share with all of you. And thanks to this series, everything that came afterward was even possible. Today, we return to it, to a story that changed the viewers and this channel. A quick clarification before we begin. What you're about to see is a full compilation of every Vita Carnis video I've uploaded up to this point. Some of them are pretty old, even from the era when I still used my previous avatar about a year ago. For some of you, this will feel nostalgic. For newer viewers, maybe not so much. So I want to apologize in advance if during roughly the first half my commentary or editing style isn't quite what you're used to. Back then, I was still pretty new to all of this. That said, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who responded to the pinned comment in the last video and for the incredible support you always give me. Remember, if you'd like to be featured in the next video, make sure to reply to the pinned comment where you'll find this question. What has Vita Carnis meant to you so far? Without further ado, don't forget to leave your precious like and subscribe to help the channel grow and reach more people. Every like is one more coin to escape poverty. If you're unsure what to comment, just type meow in the comments section and I'll give you a heart in return. Comments are incredibly important and help the video a lot, so don't forget to leave yours. Welcome to the complete breakdown of the Vita Carnis story so far. Created by Darian Quilloy's channel, Vita Carnis tells the story of an alternate reality. In this reality, mysterious beings known by the same name have appeared. If we translate it from Latin, it means something like life of flesh. These creatures are made of flesh with no skin, and they mysteriously appeared in 1931. Since then, they've been spreading across the planet, altering not just nature, but also the way humans interact with their environment. As the tape says, the Earth is now their home. Think of them as a grotesque addition to the food chain. But where did they come from? According to the tape, this has been a heavily debated question since their first appearance. Do they come from space? A demonic dimension? No. Despite not knowing how or why, one thing is certain beyond a shadow of a doubt. Their origin is right here on our planet. The first video in the series introduces us to these beings. Naturally, this is classified material, and there are severe consequences for unauthorized individuals possessing these tapes. From this, we can infer that the initial videos are not directed at us, but at the employees of the National Living Meat Research, whose goal seems to be the study of these creatures. I'll be going into detail about each of them shortly, but first, what is generally known about them? We know they are made up of muscles, bones, and organs, skinless beings resembling raw meat, which is why they were named Vita Carnis. They feed on almost anything, primarily meat, including human flesh, but they do not engage in cannibalism. That is, they don't eat each other and are usually found in areas populated by crawls. The crawl is the first species and the foundation of the entire Vita Carnis ecosystem, serving as the root of everything. This entity resembles a vine made of flesh, spreading across the land like a biological mold and can be found all over the world. The crawl grows like a plant, using photosynthesis to thrive, and its dark red tendrils burrow into the ground to absorb nutrients. The most astonishing thing about the crawl is that it doesn't just nourish itself, but everything around it. In fact, it plays a symbiotic role in the ecosystem, enriching the soil with decomposing matter, helping plant life to flourish, and becoming a super fertilizer for the vegetation. More plants feed more herbivores attract more predators, and the waste produced is consumed by the crawls, creating a perfect cycle within the ecosystem. It has even been used by humans for agriculture, but you probably wouldn't want to eat it because, well, it tastes as bad as it looks. That's right, this alien-looking organism is a force of life, not death. Well, more or less. One thing to note is that if you pay close attention throughout these videos, you can spot quick flashes of images. The first seems to be a newspaper cover showing a radio tower infested by crawls. There's also another strange frame that seems to be hinting at a story, but we'll get into that later. Now things start to get weirder. Everything seemed fine until now, but the problem begins when the previously mentioned flesh tendrils develop a lump. When this lump detaches, it forms, as far as we know, the other 7 species of Vita Carnis, most of which are dangerous. The first and most common species to form after detaching from the crawl are the trimmings. Imagine a hairless, skinless raccoon, just raw flesh. These creatures are small, about the size of a basketball at most. Each trimming is unique, with varying numbers of limbs or other characteristics. Although they're omnivorous, trimmings are almost entirely scavengers. They roam around, eating anything decayed, plants, fruit, rotting meat, you name it. The good news is they're harmless and very skittish, so despite their terrifying appearance, they pose no threat to you, unless you are bothered by them raiding your trash at night. Oh, and they're also very loud. They're preyed upon by many predators, and you'd think their population would be low, but no. The crawls keep producing more and more, making them abundant worldwide. People often see them as a pest, but some have even kept them as pets. Yes, you heard that right. I guess you need a strong stomach for that. During this explanation, we get more flashes. In one, we're told that over 400 trimmings were found under an abandoned satellite dish. Similar to the newspaper clipping we saw earlier about the crawls, it seems these creatures are drawn to our electronic and communication devices like antennas. But for what purpose? Next up are the meat snakes, which are also harmless. They're a species of giant snake made entirely of raw muscle tissue, encased in a transparent membrane. When they first emerge from the crawls, they're tiny, but they can grow to an average of 5 meters in length, depending on their diet. And what do they eat? Corpses. Yes, they're scavengers that only consume dead bodies. They use their long, sensor-covered tongues to sniff out decaying flesh, and once they find it, swallow the body whole, breaking it down and incorporating the bones and tissues into their own form. It's grim, but they're actually quite useful. Meat snakes don't get sick because their digestive chemicals preserve the meat. And get this, humans use them to dispose of waste in butcher shops and even on battlefields. They're harmless to living beings, so much so that people have domesticated them for practical use. Nature's cleanup crew, so to speak. There's also a newspaper clipping that shows the largest meat snake ever recorded found in an underground tunnel. It was a staggering 40 meters long. It's suspected that this was the result of the activities of a cult we'll learn more about soon. The fourth creature is called the Mimic, and it's by far the most dangerous of all the Vita Carnis creatures, at least for us. Mimics are humanoid creatures with grotesquely long limbs, bulging eyes, and a terrifying permanent grin full of sharp teeth. Their diet? Human flesh. Yes, these things hunt us. They start small, but as they feed on other species, They grow and transform into the horrifying creature described earlier, becoming better hunters. An adult mimic learns to camouflage in human environments by wearing clothes or hiding as mannequins, and from this point on, they only consume human meat. They stalk their prey, learn their routines, and attack when their victim is most vulnerable, usually at night or while they're sleeping.
Executed immediately begin consumption.
If well fed, they can evolve into one of two variants. They can become more human-like, turning into even more efficient predators, or they can become super predators with even more grotesque features, growing stronger and more resilient. The government has even issued survival guides on how to avoid them. Some tips include: avoid going out alone if there have been mimic sightings nearby. If you encounter one that hasn't noticed you yet, quietly leave the area and call the authorities. If you have a clear escape route, mimics rarely attack. If cornered, assume a fetal position, protecting vital organs to minimize injury. Scream to alert others for help. Few weapons are effective against mimics, so the best way to protect yourself is to use a weapon to block their attacks. Hiding in low places, like under a bed, is surprisingly effective. One positive thing is that a mimic won't spend too long searching for its prey. Then there's the Harvester, a stationary but deadly creature. It resembles a giant carnivorous plant, standing about 2 meters tall. It also has roots that extend up to 150 meters away. Its method of hunting involves setting traps, leaving its open maw exposed. If it catches a victim, it injects 2 types of venom: a neurotoxin that immobilizes the victim, and an anticoagulant that prevents blood cells from clotting, essentially making you bleed out. The Harvester slowly drains the blood while pulling the body underground. This thing doesn't go after small animals, it seeks large prey. Once it's fed, the area becomes unusually lush, attracting more victims. It only resides in the northern hemisphere. If the creature injects you, there's no way to survive. No antidote exists. Just like what happened to an entire family while hiking in the woods. Warnings are posted in areas where these creatures live. But if you accidentally step into one of their traps, throw an object to distract the tendrils and escape calmly without running. Next is the Host of Influence, a semi-humanoid creature that only resides in North America, covered in muscle tissue and tendrils that release deadly spores into the air. Those spores infect anyone who breathes them in, causing a change in behavior. The infected will begin to walk slowly toward the host, and once they reach it, they expose their organs, and the host devours them. This entire process takes about 6 to 7 hours after inhalation. At first, the victim feels nothing, but over time, they'll experience symptoms like dizziness, confusion, or motor discoordination, leading to the outcome I just described. However, there is a way to save them. If the infected person is prevented from reaching the host within 36 hours or receives medical attention, the effects of the disease will disappear. The second to last registered Vita Carnis creatures are the monoliths, towering giants standing 120 meters tall. These colossal beings don't do much, as they are completely rooted to the ground, except when provoked. If you get too close, they unleash an electromagnetic pulse that wipes out any nearby electronic devices. Despite military attempts to destroy them, they regenerate almost instantly. These entities appeared in 1972, and there are only 7 of them, arranged in a circle with a diameter of 1.5 kilometers, surrounding something that has been censored from the public. Their exact location is also classified. The monoliths are composed of thousands of fleshy fibers that extend up to their necks, where they merge into a solid, triangular mass with a hole in the center. Where their arms should be, there are only hundreds of tentacles that stretch down to the ground. After the attack I mentioned, the surrounding area was sealed off, and access is strictly prohibited. For now, the monoliths remain dormant, and the reason behind their behavior is a complete mystery. Lastly, we should be told about the final Vita Carnis creature, but for some reason most of the information is withheld. Its name is the Singularity, a creature resembling an orb that floats in the air, emitting strange energy patterns. It's an enigma, and as I said before, most details about this being are concealed by the government, leaving us with more questions than answers for now. And with this, the explanatory videos from the National Living Meat Research come to an end. The following video is a cooking tutorial featuring crawl meat. Who in their right mind would want to eat this thing? We also learned that they've created some kind of seasoning to improve the taste of the meat. This video might have gone unnoticed if it weren't for a couple of things. First, there's this, a wanted poster for Vincent Barrere, a man sought by the CSIS. And finally, we have this other image where we can see some sort of investigation board. In the center, we see the words, "Who are they?" Don't forget this image, it will be important later. The next tape shows us how to take care of our pet trimming. Yes, people actually have these creatures as pets, and it's totally real. In any case, they're fairly easy to take care of. Trimmings are quite resilient to both low and high temperatures, so you don't need to worry about that. They can sleep in a box with blankets, and they eat your garbage. To prevent their nighttime screaming, you should give them their first meal of the day late in the morning or in the afternoon. This won't stop them from screaming, but it will keep them active during those hours, so you can sleep peacefully. Unless, of course, a mimic notices your presence and decides to devour you. Trimmings are also very social creatures. If your neighbors have more trimmings, you can let them play together. And for some reason, they seem to enjoy watching TV and listening to the radio. In 1945, while post-war cleanup teams were clearing an underground tunnel, they came across something grotesque, an entire tunnel filled with a mass of flesh. At the center of this wall of meat were skulls, with a large opening in the middle. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be an enormous meat snake completely blocking the tunnel. Sound familiar? This meat snake was unlike any other. Its deep garnet color contrasted sharply with the usual bright reds and browns of typical meat snakes. What was even more unsettling was that the snake barely moved, almost behaving like a plant, completely still with only minor internal movements. It seemed to have even lost its basic motor functions. Here's the real mystery. How did this meat snake grow so large, and how did it end up lodged so deep in the tunnel? The second team found the other end of the snake near a massive pile of corpses. I think we can all see where this is going. Tests conducted on the snake's skin revealed incredible resilience. It could withstand extreme temperatures, both cold and heat, and even radiation. And the strangest part, its smell. Instead of the expected stench of decay, the meat snake emitted a pleasant aroma, almost like cooking scrambled eggs. It took several days of cutting to get a sample for testing, which highlights its extraordinary toughness. Once again, the strange part is its immense size, likely due to the massive pile of corpses we see behind the snake. Could this have something to do with the cult? And who is this man appearing in a single frame in this video? By 1986, an emergency message was issued on how to defend yourself against a mimic, all due to a significant increase in attacks by these beings on a global scale. First, the video re-explains how mimics hunt and how we can protect ourselves from them. They can even enter small spaces, waiting for the right moment to attack their victim. Remember, they can mimic a person's appearance and wear clothes, making them highly adapted predators among us. However, you can spot them by the characteristics of their faces. You should also pay attention to their hands, as mimics do not have nails. In the initial description of mimics, we were told that using weapons was not recommended due to their immense resilience. Well, due to this emergency situation, tactics were developed to combat them. Similar to some animals, trying to appear larger and making noise can be effective. If you have weapons, aim for the head or legs. This will immobilize them and give you some time to escape. The next video is recovered and found footage. A couple goes out for a nighttime walk to head to a location related to an incident that left a body mutilated by some strange creature and is being covered up. They manage to reach the spot but find nothing. Here, the guy explains the case in front of the camera. This is classified as confidential. Finally, they decide to leave the area, but suddenly the guy disappears. Here is the video.
Chris? Where are you? Chris! Come on! This isn't funny! Chris! I just want to go home, come on! Fine, I guess I'm going home without you. I'm cold, tired, and hungry. If you want to stay out here and play games, you can. Chris? What are you doing? Chris, this isn't funny. Oh! God! Fuck!
In 1989, records of anomalies in harvesters were taken, along with a map showing their locations in Canada on August 1st, where their density was extremely high. Later, we are shown a photograph of a family, two of whose members would meet a tragic fate. First, we see one of the children separating from the group, only to fall into one of the harvester's traps. Shortly after, the mother finds her child and if we keep analyzing the maps, we can see that by September 1st, the harvesters begin moving north, something unusual. By observing the map from October 1st, we see they've advanced even further, appearing to form a circular pattern, as if for some reason they're drawn to this particular place. Remember that strange seasoning used to improve the taste of the meat? Well, it was made from the spores of the host of influence. In other words, the people behind this product are getting people to sprinkle it on their food, so they end up dying in the clutches of one of these creatures. But for what purpose? This product gained immense popularity, with its commercials increasing over time. But as we know, this was all a ploy to bring people under the mind control of a host, as evidenced in later commercials. This company is plotting something truly diabolical, and it's working. Millions of people have already fallen into the trap. After a while, they didn't even bother making good commercials anymore. They had already achieved their goal. However, there were still people willing to stop these things, gathering countless pieces of evidence, as seen in the next tape, where the issues caused by this seasoning are highlighted. This video reveals something else important. The people responsible for all of this. That cult which seemingly worships the Vita Carnis. Their logo is a triangle almost identical to that of the Nutrier Corporation, the company responsible for manufacturing the seasoning, which leads us to believe that this company is run by them. It makes sense, right? It explains why they use the spores of the host. But again, for what purpose? What is the cult's ultimate goal? To destroy humanity? To awaken something? And who is sending all this information to the organization Carcass? And what exactly is Carcass? Carcass stands for the Containment and Research Consult Association Society, a private organization that serves as humanity's resistance against the Vita Carnis. Carcass's main objective is to contain and study the properties of the Carnis genus in order to better understand its origin, behaviors, and motives. It also works to expose the government's cover-ups regarding these creatures. As for who is providing them with all the information regarding the cult, well, in the next video we get our answer. The informant records their room, showing an investigation board with all the evidence they've gathered. The investigator revealed newspaper clippings about dead scientists, documentaries made by teenagers about Vita Carnis, which are the videos we analyzed at the beginning, and sightings of cult sites. The message was successfully received, and Carcass sprang into action. With the information acquired, they knew exactly where they needed to go. This led to the deployment of 3 special operations teams into the restricted zone around the monoliths to stop the cult's main ritual. Here's the video.
3 ground teams are tasked with infiltrating a previously abandoned mall titled Facility 0, which is located in the restricted zone based on our info. The mission will take place in 3 stages: infiltration, encirclement, and ambush. Primary objective is to capture the facility and seize the items of interest for extraction. Numerous armed guards are located within the facility. Avoid detection and keep up your guard.
Alpha team, in position.
Beta team, in position.
Gamma team, in position.
Copy. Beginning phase 1.
Eyes on the point. Clearing pathway now. Pathway cleared. Give us the green light.
Copy. Green light is a go. Begin phase 2 in advance.
Alpha team, copy. Beginning advance. All right, we're heading out. Move, move, move! Lights off. Come on. Move. Keep your distance. Single file. Halt! In position, awaiting green light.
Copy. Green light is a go. Begin phase 2 in advance.
In position. We are experiencing mechanical interference. Should we resume? Copy. Phase 3 is still a go. Preparing for breach.
Breach in 3, 2, 1. Breach.
Get down! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Get down! Get down! Put down your weapon! Get down! Put down your weapon! Put your hands up! Get down! I said get down!
The tape ends abruptly, and for now, we don't know if Carcass succeeded in their mission or not. And with this, the first season concludes, but the story doesn't end here. The teaser for the second season hints that the monoliths will have a more prominent role, and we learn that Carcass's mission was a complete success. The first video of the second season begins with the news of the arrest of a large group of high-ranking cultists in the restricted zone. Military personnel were involved in detaining these individuals, and what's surprising is that many turned out to be well-known politicians and high-ranking government officials. The documents reveal serious crimes, such as murder, kidnappings, and ritual sacrifices. As we mentioned earlier, the Neutron company was closely linked to the cult, and it was shut down with its products deemed dangerous. Public opinion is in an uproar, demanding action in response to the chaos caused by these events. More things began to unfold. People no longer wanted to eat Vita Carnis meat. Other cults started appearing. Demands were made for the total control or extermination of the mimics, and strikes were initiated, demanding accountability from governments for allowing things to escalate this far. Some even began talking about a new world order. Next, we see that Carcass facilities began studying the singularities, showing incredible results despite still knowing very little about them. There are 7 in total, each one a meter in diameter, made of an unknown material resembling crystal, with swirling lights inside, predominantly red. Scientists who conducted tests on these entities detected unusual energy pulses, but were unsure if they were alive or trying to communicate. The tests revealed minimal results, except for interference with electronic devices when more than one singularity was nearby. One of the most chilling moments of the video occurs when the researchers place a live cow in the chamber with one of the singularities, labeled B1. After minimal results from the live test, they used a cow carcass, which, after a couple of hours, was consumed, leading to a massive, rapid growth of the crawl. A scientist suggested that this upends everything we previously knew about the Vita Carnis species. The video delves into experiments with crawl specimens cultivated under various environmental conditions, with radio signals causing abnormal growth patterns. Other species, such as trimmings, meat snakes, and mimics, were successfully born and transferred to enclosures, spurring new research on these life forms. The team made significant advances in understanding the social behaviors of these creatures, particularly the trimmings, which communicate through vocal and physical signals like chirps and mouth movements. One interesting experiment demonstrated how trimmings responded to positive and negative acoustic signals, associating sounds with rewards or punishments. This reinforced how intelligent and social these creatures are. Later, the researchers conducted an unusual experiment, linking their captive colony of trimmings with a wild colony via a radio device, further expanding our understanding of their communication capabilities. It seems like some kind of hive mind. The singularities, on the other hand, might be the origin of all Vita Carnis. From the singularity comes the crawl, and from the crawl, everything else. Now let's dive into the latest video available, Revealed Progress. The video starts with what seems to be a beauty pageant for trimmings, I suppose. Yes, it sounds absurd. Then it shifts to the reports of Dr. Asram Griffiths, a specialist in meat snakes. Dr. Griffiths updates the audio log on the progress of the project. The meat snake shown in the video was raised in captivity until it reached maturity. Throughout its development, the research team fed it meat, including bones and organs, to help it grow. Over the course of 21 days, the research documents how the snake's behavior changes from aggressive to patient, and how its physical attributes evolve, such as the color and texture of its skin. Around day 21, something unexpected happens. The meat snake undergoes mitosis, splitting into two identical creatures. The escape causes the research to pause temporarily, but both organisms are recaptured and returned to their enclosure. The second half of the video dives into an audio report from Dr. Farron Bronas, analyzing the hunting behaviors of the mimics. We see mimics being raised in captivity, and when they reach adulthood, they refuse food. As we know, they only consume human flesh at this stage, leading to their eventual death from starvation. Next, we're informed that the best specimens were those captured in the wild. They lasted longer because they already had food and nutrients inside them. Several adult mimics were brought in, one of which was humanoid. One of the most shocking revelations from this tape is that the information we originally had about mimics was incredibly basic, and since their first appearance, all interpretations of their patterns have been wrong in one way or another. They keep changing. In reality, it's almost completely random. Dr. Bronas seems determined to go further to fully understand these creatures. Finally, we see a recording from 1992 about an incident involving the V1 singularity. Here's the footage.
What happened?
My leg's tied. It's bad. It's bad. I'm bleeding.
What do I do?
I can't reach.
What do I do?
Help me down, please. Please.
We need medical assistance in test chamber 1.
Oh, God.
Stay calm. Help is on the way. Just try to stay
Damn
still.
it. Oh, God.
All right, we're here. We're going to help you. Lower the ladder slowly. This is going to hurt. Okay, hold still. Ready? Now!
What's happening? What's happening to him? Get him out of here now! Get him out!
What happened to the people present there? Why did the singularity react this way? Let's remember that the man was bleeding. Could that have been the reason? Was it reacting to the blood? It seems that singularities respond to the pain and agony of other creatures. What do you think? Before we wrap up, let's look at something hidden within nearly all of the episodes of this analog horror series: secret images. These images tell a story, which goes like this. Once upon a time, in a distant kingdom, there was a royal family gifted with magic. They traveled far and wide by land and sea, discovering new places and gaining knowledge. On one of these expeditions, a fierce storm struck the ship they were on, casting the prince overboard. After drifting for some time, the young prince was washed up onto an island. Wounded, he sought refuge in a nearby cave and used all his magic to enter a healing slumber. This sleep lasted for a long time, and during that time the land around him changed and grew, becoming unrecognizable. The cave protected the prince as the outside world transformed. In an era of hardship, the island's inhabitants, small creatures, struggled to find food. One day, while searching for sustenance in the forest, they found the sleeping prince. They were awestruck by his magic, noticing objects floating around him. They wondered who this being was, and if he could pose a danger. Some thought the prince might be able to help them with his magic, perhaps growing food or curing illnesses. Though most creatures thought it was too risky, a few decided to help him in secret. They gave him the little food they had, accelerating his recovery. One day, thanks to their aid, the prince finally awoke. Startled by his awakening, the creatures hid, but one brave little creature stepped forward, extending a hand in friendship. The prince reciprocated, forming a bond that would change his fate. The creatures guided the prince out of the cave and led him to the top of a hill, showing him the forest, their home, full of wonder yet unable to sustain them. They asked for his help, and the prince, raising his arms, summoned a bright light filled with mystical shapes and colors. The creatures watched in awe as the prince finished his work, promising that with his power and the aid of his kingdom, he would improve their land. The prince gathered everything he could and set sail to return home. Once he returns, he promised he would come back to the island with his kingdom's help and reunite with the creatures. The episode picks up right where the last one left off. It appears that the unusual reaction of Singularity V1 triggered a chain reaction in the other singularities, causing an overload. One of the personnel on site yells for the power to be cut. After switching to backup power, everything seems stable again. To confirm this, 2 security guards are sent to check the state of the chamber. Next, we see a recap of the incident. As we saw in the previous episode, we're told about the person who got trapped in Singularity V1's chamber, a cleaner who became stuck on the staircase steps and suffered a fractured femur. As we already know, the entity reacted strangely to this incident, appearing agitated and extremely active. Later, during an inspection in Test Chamber 1, one of the guard's transceivers begins to pick up strange interference. These sounds are mostly confusing, but occasionally, coherent phrases can be heard, from both the entity and Dr. Trados. This leads Dr. Trados to conduct an experiment in which he connects the device directly to the test chamber in an attempt to communicate with the entity and understand its behavior. Here's the recording.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you understand what I am saying? Can you hear? Holy shit. What now? What should I say? What are you? What are you? Let's try something else. Can you still hear us? Okay. What are you? What are your connections to the Vita Carnis species? Such a vague. Try another question. Do you know why you are here? Did you hear us? We aren't getting anywhere. What?
These boxes. Devices. For talk.
Are you talking about the radios?
Radio. Yes. Catches noise.
Radios transmit and receive waves and translate it into sound.
Brilliance. Much brilliance. I feel more noise. Can we see more?
Do you want more radios?
What Singularity V1 says here is quite sparse and ambiguous, providing little clear information. From this, we know that they have self-awareness and can communicate using our language, but not much else. Next, we hear a conversation, presumably between Carcass members. In it, one member expresses concern regarding the singularities, questioning if it's really worth giving them what they want. The other replies that this could be the greatest discovery in history and that they can't stop now. In addition, United Nations representatives will be arriving in a few days to observe their progress. Through this, they might secure the funding needed to see just how far this can go. He urges them to learn everything they can in the shortest possible time, but they never could have imagined what they were about to uncover. As we'll see next, the singularities seem to somehow represent each of the Vita Carnis creatures. 7 singularities and 7 creatures: the crawl, the trimmings, the meat snakes, the harvesters, the mimics, the host of influence, and the monoliths. For future tests with the singularities, they plan to use a radio with a speaker to communicate with them. During initial preparations, the singularities began communicating with each other, though what they said was incomprehensible and is still being deciphered. The Singularity V1 was given various electronic devices, but it didn't talk much. It seemed more interested in the devices than in the questions it was asked. They also conducted tests and asked questions to the others, each of whom behaved differently. All have common traits. Each one has a fascination with electronics and a unique interest in certain types of entertainment. This is all very strange. During tests involving V1 interacting with a TV, significant interference was detected with other electronic devices. V1 also spoke aloud several times, one day before the representative's arrival, and after various tests with each of the singularities, they were able to determine each one's personality. Here's where things get interesting. V1 appears neutral in its expressions and communicates with staff as minimally as possible. Its only real interest is in electronic devices. This singularity represents the crawl. Remember the newspaper clipping from the first season mentioning that a radio tower had been infested by crawls? V2 is curious, frequently asks questions, is quite descriptive, and loves participating in the tests. This singularity represents the trimmings, the most sociable of all Vita Carnis creatures. V3 is more active but interacts minimally and distantly with the staff. This singularity is believed to represent the meat snakes, though its behavior doesn't make this entirely clear. It seems to enjoy interacting more with dead bodies than with the living. V4 is the most engaged with the staff, displaying a great deal of curiosity about them. It prefers asking them questions over participating in tests. This singularity undoubtedly represents the mimics, as it's especially drawn to humans. No explanation needed there. V5 is more expressive than the other singularities. Although it speaks often, it only talks to itself and has not yet communicated with the staff. By process of elimination, this singularity likely represents the harvesters. V6 interacts very little, occasionally making nonsensical sounds. It does not acknowledge the staff and shows minimal engagement in tests. This one seems to represent the host, due to its lack of interest in humans, as if we were nothing more than mere pieces of flesh to feed on. V7 is the least active of all singularities. It has shown almost no interaction, and it only behaves normally with the other singularities. This clearly represents the monoliths. At the end of this episode, we once again see one of the singularities go out of control in the same day the representatives arrive. However, this time it attempts to communicate.
There has been much learned in our time together. I agree with Dr. Trados. If we continue, I am sure this union will benefit all. Symbiosis, we join together. Let us sow seeds and watch what grows. Divine purpose. Let us show you. Let us guide the way. Join us. Join us. Join us. Join us. Join us. Join us. Become one. Become one.
While editing the video, I noticed something interesting. Do you remember the small TV ads that appear sporadically between scenes during the second season? Well, if we look closely at the television in this clip and slow it down, we can see what appears to be a series of numbers and letters. If we read it correctly, it says 28,000 kilometers. A little later, we can also see a program explaining how fast electromagnetic waves travel. If you haven't caught on yet, all these strange clips in this episode are the singularities observing and learning about us. Before wrapping up, there's one more thing that remains hidden in all the videos of the second season, which I forgot to mention: the hidden videos. The first doesn't reveal much. From it, we can gather a text that dates to a near future where things don't seem to be going well. The second one is probably the most intriguing of all: an interview with Simon Vanguard, the cult leader who was captured while paying tribute to the singularities at the end of the first season. The interview is really worth listening to. Here it is.
Simon Vanguard. Do you know why we're here? We're just gonna ask some questions, and this will go by a lot quicker if you give us some answers. As we both know, you are the head of a large cult following. Can you give us some insight on how you came to be in that position? You are a veteran, yes. You were enlisted at the age of 18. You must have seen some traumatic things. Could they have had any influence on what you were doing? had some very interesting connections in your community. Some very important people. Any chance you'd like to tell us how that came to be? Or your connections to New Trier Co.? So, we know about your connections to the railway tunnel in 1945. We also know that you were involved when the creature disappeared in 47. What was the reason you kept feeding it after the war? We also know what else was kept down there. Oh, so that's what gets you interested. What was your connection to the entity? You seem very fond of all of them. It must disappoint you that they've been contained, seized by the Carcass Foundation. Fools? Why is that so? They're studying them. You don't even know what they are. Why would it be foolish to learn more about them? You don't understand. Well, please enlighten me. You have a deep devotion to the entities of all of the Carnis species, in fact. Devoted enough to do that to yourself. Why do you devote yourself to these creatures? Why do you praise them so highly? What is so important that you blindly follow these entities?
You don't question their will.
And why not?
Follow their will. Their great vision. The great light.
They say you have visions. These visions of yours, what do they say?
You must do as they say. Don't question it. It's all for something greater than us.
What is it? What must you do?
No. I must follow. I devote myself. I devote myself to the great truth. To stray from darkness and meet the light. For wonder and wisdom.
Hey, calm yourself. Hey, stop! Security! I need security in here now!
You will all see.
What you've just seen is the last hidden video available, and it's quite disturbing. In it, we see two texts that once again indicate that things aren't going well, and if we reverse the audio, we hear the following. It's clear that something huge is about to happen, but what could it be?
I can do this. Okay. I've got everything I need. Oh, gun in hand. It's time to go.
The video begins with a text dated February 1st, 1995. The message reads, "I have a request. One of the researchers I know has been missing their progress reports. I knew he would miss a few since he got approval for one of his field projects, but it has been 4 months. I I know it isn't my place to ask you this, but I am worried. I wouldn't ask if I weren't sure something was wrong. I found out where he was researching. Unfortunately, you know the area well. I will send what information I have. The video then displays a report dated September 20th, 1992, signed by Dr. Farron Brones, a specialist in mimics. In this record, the doctor details the complexities of studying mimics during the final stage of their life cycle. According to his observations, these creatures develop traits that make them increasingly elusive and potentially dangerous. One of their standout abilities is their capacity to hide in plain sight, possibly by adopting human behaviors and appearances, even wearing clothing to blend into their surroundings more effectively. In this advanced phase, mimics also rely on their vocal abilities, using short phrases to lure their targets. Interestingly, it is noted that mimics can speak different languages depending on their region of origin, suggesting a high degree of adaptation and a direct connection between their behavior and environment. The report also references the so-called elders, the highest evolutionary stage of the species, which are extremely rare. Only a handful of sightings have been documented, with just one clear photograph of an elder. However, the lack of concrete data about these creatures raises questions about the researchers' ability to fully understand and address this threat. Another report from the same person, dated October 2nd, 1994, nearly 2 years later, is then presented. In this report, Dr. Farron states that he has received the authorization and equipment necessary to conduct fieldwork, suggesting he might be the researcher mentioned in the initial text. The doctor mentions that he has sensors, cameras, and some devices of his own creation and is heading to the designated site to install everything, intending to record his findings for a subsequent report. He also notes that none of his colleagues have agreed to join him on this expedition, likely due to the project's challenging and possibly dangerous nature. The scene then cuts, informing viewers that the following footage was recovered from Dr. Farron's personal recorder, obtained on February 17, 1995. Given what we know, it seems likely that his project cost him his life, and what follows will reveal the cause of his disappearance. Dr. Farron installed a series of motion sensors and cameras across various zones in the area, including a main base. As a precaution, he reinforced the door and carried a pistol for protection. In total, he monitored 11 zones, with a control panel that would illuminate the corresponding zone when movement was detected. He also had a supply of energy bars and water for 20 days, allowing him to remain on site during his investigation. Turning on his recorder, he explained his situation. He was in a house within mimic territory. The doctor also had a radio, ready for any significant developments. The second day passed without incident, but on the third day, at 2 a.m., movement was detected in the living room, where the mimic moved between rooms. However, the doctor made a critical mistake by turning on the radio to try to hear the mimic. From previous videos, we know that electromagnetic signals from radios can influence various types of Vita Carnis, such as crawls, trimmings, and even singularities, which can detect them with ease. With mimics, it appears to be the same. After the radio was turned on, no further movement was detected, suggesting the creature became aware of the doctor's presence and started moving more cautiously. 2 hours passed without any detected movement, confirming the mimic was no longer being tracked. This indicated the creature not only detected the doctor, but also the cameras and sensors, likely hiding nearby. The doctor, perplexed by the lack of activity, spent 2 more hours without success before deciding to investigate further.
Okay, I'm going to go and check what happened. I'm going to try and play it safe, going slowly. Okay, here we go. Gun, just in case.
The mimic knew the doctor's exact location thanks to the radio signals. He became visibly worried upon realizing that the mimic he detected was not a common one, but an elder variant. His fear stemmed not only from the mimic discovering his hiding spot, but also from its unpredictable behavior, as previously noted. Dr. Farron concluded that the mimic moved so slowly that the sensors failed to detect it, crawling for 4 hours to reach his location. This highlighted the cunning nature of elder mimics. Over time, the doctor decided to stay put despite the lack of sound or movement. He noted that after 20 days, personnel from headquarters should come to retrieve him. With no further activity from the mimic, he began considering the possibility that it might be safe to retreat.
I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Okay. I've got everything I need. Oh, gun in hand. It's time to go.
By the 11th day, the doctor begins to lose his composure, visibly terrified, as the mimic tries to confuse him. On day 16, the doctor decides his only option is to attack the mimic and make a run for it. On day 17, the doctor mentions that he shot the mimic in the face, heard it scream, and then an eerie silence followed. However, the lights indicate that the mimic is waiting on the stairs. He finally decides to wait until day 20, the expected date of his rescue, but in his next recording, he clarifies that it is now day 22 and no help has arrived. The recording turns completely dark, and by day 28, with his food supplies depleted, the doctor concludes he has been left to die in this place. He mentions that he was sent without any support because the higher-ups knew he would uncover something so revealing about the mimics that it would change the general perception of the Vita Carnis. However, due to corruption within the research organization, those in charge decided to let him perish there. The doctor hides the camera, hoping it won't be found by headquarters, but rather by someone else who could expose what truly happened.
It's been 28 days. Food has run out. I know, now. I know. I was too dumb to realize. But I have it figured out. They sent me here to die. I didn't know why, but they did. But I don't think they knew that I would figure it out eventually. I've hid this video recorder so that if they do come, they won't find it. Hopefully someone will. I will leave one last audio log for them. Audio log? It's been 28 days. Hope is lost. He waits for me now. He will claim his kill soon, probably. Probably hears me right now. But I know. I know now. I'm ready. I know he knows. This is it. There you are.
In the end, the camera is discovered under the sink, alongside the body of Dr. Farron. This discovery is made by the person mentioned at the beginning of the story. Curiously, none of the other equipment or supplies that the doctor had previously shown were present at the site. This could imply that headquarters removed the installed cameras after the doctor's death. The informant responds, commenting that the situation is far worse than expected and advises proceeding with extreme caution. The video ends at this point, but as expected, there is a hidden video that adds even more mystery to the story. This hidden video features reversed audio and distorted speeds. However, the only clearly audible word is carcass, spoken by an entity that appears in the background as a large spider attacks smaller ones. The new episode of Vita Carnis opens with a message dated July 3rd, 1995, written by a mysterious individual known only as B. That name, or rather, that letter, should already sound familiar. B has made several appearances throughout previous episodes, leaking classified information from Carcass to an unknown recipient, identified only as V. Some speculate that V could be Vincent Barrera, the man once hunted by CSIS, but for now, nothing has been confirmed. Why is B doing all of this? Because he's witnessing the slow decay of the organization from the inside. Carcass is no longer what it used to be, or perhaps it never was what we thought it was. In previous messages, B warned that even the most basic protocols were being neglected, key personnel replaced, and that something was definitely being built behind the scenes. His latest message reads, "I don't know how much time I have. I think they are beginning to realize what I'm doing. I've sent over one last package containing anything I thought looked important. If I don't contact you again, assume the worst. I know how hard it is to combat this alone again, but I don't think we have a choice. You figured it out before. You can do it again before it's too late. Good luck to you." B knows it. His time is running out. He's in danger. That's why he chooses to send one final batch of evidence before the worst happens. Immediately after, the Carcass logo flashes on screen, accompanied by the word classified. This is likely the confidential material B managed to leak. Much of this footage is fragmented, cutting between various segments: new research on the Harvester and the Host of Influence, brief snippets of TV commercials, strange recordings, and, of course, the educational program we've seen more than once before. To keep things clear and organized, we'll break down and analyze each of these segments separately and in depth, instead of following the episode's fragmented structure. First, we're presented with a series of strange cuts. As we've theorized before, all signs point to these clips being observed by the singularities as a way to study and learn about us. The constant murmuring we hear in the background might, in fact, be the voice or voices of one or more of these entities, which only strengthens this theory. This time, the educational program tackles a new topic: sleep. With its now familiar friendly tone, soft music, and simple animations, the program's mascot begins explaining the importance of getting proper rest and proceeds to describe the 4 stages of sleep. Everything seems to follow the usual pattern, until something unexpected happens. Just as the mascot is about to explain what dreams actually are, its expression changes. That ever-present smile fades. Its once cheerful eyes go dim, and its arms, normally moving with animated gestures, drop lifelessly to its sides, as if it no longer knows what to say. The explanation never comes. The program simply ends. What is it about dreams that cannot be explained? What truth is hidden behind such an innocent question? And why is it at that very moment that everything cuts to black? Questions that, for now, remain unanswered. We now move on to the segment dedicated to the Harvesters, where we are presented with a series of investigation reports spanning from January 20th to July 25th, 1995. It all begins with the image of a fleshy red bulb, an infant harvester freshly emerged from the crawl. It's contained inside a transparent box. Just a simple sprout, yet already a potential threat. The container bears a warning label resembling those used for hazardous biological materials. On this first day, the bulb is deemed stable enough to begin the observation phase. It is transferred to a specialized containment cell, specifically designed to study its development while minimizing any unnecessary risks. 1 day later, the bulb is placed in its new environment. From that moment on, a long process begins: adaptation, growth, and constant surveillance. We jump ahead 5 months. June 20th, 1995. The bulb has reached maturity. It's grown enough to be considered viable for field testing. This marks the official start of the study of one of the deadliest creatures in the entire Vita Carnis ecosystem. The team's first task is to extract venom from the harvester's tendrils, an extremely dangerous procedure. As we know, the creature produces two kinds of toxins, one paralytic, the other anticoagulant, both lethal. The report proposes an experimental method, placing a silicone sponge on the harvester's terrain, hoping it would absorb the venom as the tendrils pierced it. But during the first test, conducted the next day, the experiment proves disastrous. As soon as a test dummy is lowered into the cell, the tendrils react instantly, striking with deadly precision. The creature displays a shockingly high level of predatory efficiency. Worse yet, the sponge fails. It's too fragile to absorb the venom without breaking apart. The method is discarded. With no other safe options, the team resorts to a more direct approach, sedating the harvester and manually extracting the venom. Risky, but effective. On June 23rd, they successfully extract both types of venom from 5 different spines. On screen, we see 2 vials. On the left, the yellowish paralytic venom, more abundant. On the right, the reddish anticoagulant. From that point forward, a steady production of both toxins begins. By July 20th, the report confirms the extraction process has been a total success, and the team now has a controlled, reliable supply of both venoms. Finally, on July 25th, one last test is conducted. A trimming is introduced into the harvester's cell, and nothing happens. The report concludes that the harvester's tendrils do not react to trimmings, possibly suggesting a natural immunity or mutual recognition between species within the Vita Carnis ecosystem. However, further research is needed to determine whether other creatures, such as meat snakes or mimics, share this same protection. We now move on to the Host of Influence segment, where we're presented with reports from an investigation that began on August 20th and culminated in a series of experiments carried out between October 1st and 15th of that same year. Following the capture of the New Trier cult in 1991, Carcass Special Forces, Alpha, Beta, and Gamma teams conducted a full sweep of the facility known as Facility Zero. During the operation, they not only secured several dangerous entities, but also uncovered something of significant interest: a living specimen of the so-called Imperium Carnis, later renamed the Host of Influence. Alongside it, they recovered 3 vials, each containing a powder of different color. Subsequent analysis revealed that one vial contained spores from the host itself, another held a flavor enhancer used by the cult, and the third a more complex, unidentified variation of the original spores. The host was transferred to Carcass facilities for the purpose of studying its nature and the function of these substances. To that end, a series of human exposure tests were initiated. The first test subject was a volunteer named Leto Dolus. The procedure involved placing the host inside a special containment cell connected via a ventilation system to a separate observation chamber, into which the subject was introduced. This setup allowed researchers to monitor the effects of the airborne spores without direct physical contact, because we all know what would happen without proper safeguards. Once exposed, the subject would be placed under quarantine to observe any behavioral changes. Once symptoms stabilized, the subject would be asked to provide both a verbal and written report detailing what they experienced under the influence of the spores. During the first exposure, Dolus exhibited mild irritation upon inhalation. The host, for its part, grew visibly agitated and attempted to attack the subject through the glass barrier. Dolus was immediately removed and quarantined for 36 hours. Throughout the quarantine period, he entered a state of total passivity, standing still in front of the door, unresponsive to any stimuli. By the 3rd day, symptoms began to subside, and Dolus was deemed stable enough to deliver his first verbal report.
I feel tired, and I have aches in my legs and arms. I'm also quite nauseous. Not dizzy, but foggy, if that makes sense. I don't feel too bad overall. The worst I feel is very hungry and thirsty.
His written account, dated October 3rd, reveals significant sensory and cognitive disruption. He described his vision as dark and blurry, like wearing glasses with the wrong prescription. Sounds were muted, and he experienced a dense mental fog that made even the simplest tasks feel impossible. But the most alarming symptom was a powerful, irrational urge to leave the room. In his own words, it wasn't like forgetting why he had entered a room. It was like forgetting why he was leaving it. An unknown, mindless force compelled him to move, with no conscious intention. He also reported a constant ringing in his ears, as if he were trapped inside his own body. On October 5th, Dolus underwent a second exposure. The host remained aggressive, though noticeably less erratic than before. This time, however, Dolus began to show early signs of mental exhaustion. During the following quarantine, his condition grew more emotionally unstable. While he remained in a dazed, confused state, this time he also displayed intense distress. He cried, screamed, and thrashed against his confinement. Yet again, the symptoms faded the next day. He appeared calmer and was allowed to give a second report. This time, Dolus described even more unsettling effects. He saw blurred figures and lingering lights, like the ghostly glow left after staring at a bulb. He felt exhausted. His joints were stiff, and his fingers trembled uncontrollably. He suffered from severe disorientation and pounding headaches. On top of that, he complained of eye pain, visual flashes in his peripheral vision, and a constant hum that drowned out all other sounds, making it impossible to understand the whispers he thought he heard. He claimed not to remember what happened after the quarantine, only that he felt a desperate, unstoppable need to escape. Despite everything, he said he felt better, and he expressed a willingness to continue with the experiment. On October 9th, Leto Dolus was exposed to the host's spores for a third time. Unlike the two previous sessions, this time the host showed no signs of aggression. On the contrary, its behavior was strangely calm, almost docile. It seemed genuinely curious about the test subject, watching him intently through the glass. Dolus, for his part, experienced the same now familiar symptoms, though with no immediate worsening. However, something changed during the October 10th quarantine. Leto began throwing himself against the door, desperate to escape. He had to be restrained to prevent self-harm. Once the effects of the exposure subsided, he insisted he was willing to continue the trials, but the look on his face, visible in the audio report dated the 11th, said otherwise.
It feels numb, like pressure. It's not bad. It doesn't hurt. I don't think so, at least. I remember something. I can't pin it, though. Like remembering a dream. It was bright. It was nice. I felt important.
That same day, he wrote a new report, and this is where the language takes a disturbing turn, becoming clearly spiritual, delusional, and obsessive. I seen figures dance in the dark. I want to catch them. Why were they there? What did they want to say to me? I couldn't hear their whispers. So much ringing. I need to hear what they said. Why did they need me? Why was I called? This excerpt marks a turning point. Dolus' mental breakdown was no longer limited to his body or senses. It was now attacking his very identity, his faith. He had begun interpreting his hallucinations as messages with meaning and saw himself as the chosen recipient of some divine calling. It was as if the host's influence was implanting a mission inside his mind. Then, on October 13th, during the fourth exposure, a shocking discovery was made. The spores released by the host were no longer orange, as in previous sessions. Now they were tinged with red, suggesting a mutation or perhaps an emotional response from the entity as its connection with Leto deepened. That same day, Leto was confined once again, this time strapped to the bed to prevent self-inflicted harm. Despite the restraints, he struggled, and by the October 15th recording, his face was barely recognizable, disfigured by exhaustion, wounds, and sheer obsession. His report that day was brief, but deeply unsettling. His words, and his behavior, echoed those once displayed by Simon Vanguard, the leader of the cult.
I see it. It is dark, but a light so beautiful. I devote myself to the great truth, to stray from darkness and meet the light. For wonder and wisdom, I serve my Lord. I serve my
Hey, calm yourself. Hey, stop! Security! I need security in here now!
Finally, on October 15th, the experiment was suspended indefinitely. The official report left no room for doubt. The psychological deterioration of Leto Dolus was far too advanced to proceed. The host of influence experiment had revealed not only the capabilities of the Imperium Carnis, but the terrifying extent to which it could corrupt, reshape, and ultimately possess the human will. What began as a simple spore exposure turned into a full-blown process of spiritual indoctrination, one that stripped Leto of his autonomy and rewired his mind to worship an entity, a master. Could this be the work of the singularities themselves? Or perhaps something beyond even them? We're then shown an interrogation. Carcass had launched an internal investigation. Something wasn't right. Documents were disappearing, tapes were going missing, and certain experiments seemed to be leaking to the outside world. It didn't take long before they found the culprit, Bruce Phoenix, head of the archives department, someone we already knew under the alias B. Bruce appears tied to a chair, visibly confused and disoriented. Next to him is Dr. Marshall, who, in a seemingly calm tone, tells him they just want to ask a few questions and that the restraints are simply a safety measure. The tension is thick. Bruce tries to keep his composure, dodging questions, pretending not to understand what he's being accused of. But it doesn't stay a simple interrogation for long. It quickly becomes a direct accusation. Bruce denies everything, but Dr. Marshall isn't working off suspicions. He has proof, and Bruce knows it. There's no way out. The moment he's feared has finally come, and tragically, it's clear he won't be leaving that room alive.
What's going on? Hey!
Sit still, Bruce. It's all right.
Dr. Traidos, why am I here?
Calm yourself. We're just going to ask a few questions. The restraints are just a precaution.
What?
Relax.
Okay.
So, Bruce Phoenix, you are the manager in our files department, is that correct?
Yes.
What would you say you do?
I, organize documents, process reports, tapes, files, mainly with our experimentation unit.
I see. The reason I ask is because I believe there have been some issues recently with your department. Have you noticed anything?
No. I don't think so.
Really? Nothing at all?
No. It seems to be in order to me. Why?
Well, I asked because we had a look through our documentation and noticed some inconsistencies.
Like what, sir?
We noticed that there has been some tampering with some particular documents. Classified documents. Nothing too big, but it seems someone's been covering some things up. Well, you are the head of that department, so we thought you would know something. Are you sure you don't know anything?
I'm sure.
I'm sure too. You know, loyalty is an important part of how we work here. We handle some important things, classified things, things we don't want getting into the wrong hands. So when we find out that someone has been smuggling documents behind our back, that is awfully concerning. Especially when that person, I don't know, is lying right to my face.
I'm not lying, sir!
Stop! Especially when we have them on video. Which leads me to ask, why are you taking tapes out?
I can explain! I was just...
Stop! I don't need to know what you were doing with them, but I do need to know one thing. Who are you sending them to?
No one!
Who are you sending them to? Please, sir, listen! I was just organizing them and I had to move them! Who are you in contact with? Marshal, please! I'm not lying!
We are past that, Bruce. Why do you think this was acceptable? What you were doing threatens national security. You are actively threatening the progress of the human species.
No! I'm trying to save the human species. What we are doing here is wrong! It's those things! They have brainwashed you! They are messing with your judgment. Safety protocols, basic upkeep, reckless experiments. This isn't progress! This is madness! You're becoming like those monsters who worship them! Please, Marshal. We need to stop.
I will ask one last time. Who are you contacting?
Never. I'm done. I won't be a part of this. I'm done.
Cut the cameras.
Have you watched some of the tapes of the experiments we do? It's interesting, some of the things in there. Did you know in harvesters that both of the venoms they inject are lethal? The neurotoxin doesn't just block the nerve signals, it directly attacks each nerve, causing sudden paralysis in muscles moving deeper into your vitals. But for each nerve that dies, you feel every single thing. But all you can do is sit in silence as your nerves burn away until your heart stops beating, your lungs stop breathing, and your brain shuts down. Fortunately, usually the other venom causes you to bleed out first. Sir, what are you doing? Fortunate indeed. Sir, please. No, please don't! Don't! Please don't! No! I'm sorry, Marshal! No! Please!
The execution of Bruce Phoenix isn't just an act of violence. It's a symbol, a breaking point. For the human resistance against Vita Carnis, Bruce's death marks the loss of an inside voice, a vital link who tried, from within, to slow the advance of an institution that has long since crossed every ethical boundary imaginable. You've seen it yourself, the coldness and sadism of Dr. Marshall, who, before injecting the toxins, calmly explains to Bruce exactly how he'll die, knowing full well that there's nothing he can do to stop it. Carcass no longer operates under the banner of science or human principles. It's been ideologically corrupted by prolonged exposure to the Vita Carnis, especially to entities like the Host of Influence, whose very name is a clue. In fact, based on Bruce's own words, combined with what we see on screen, an even more disturbing possibility is suggested that most, if not all, members of the organization have fallen victim to some form of brainwashing. Humanity is losing this war. At the end of the episode, we're shown the final report written by Leto Dolus, but it's not a written document, it's a drawing. At first glance, it might look meaningless or incoherent, but if you look closely, you'll recognize it instantly. It's the exact same image that appeared in one of the hidden pages from Season 1, in that strange fairy tale about the prince. With this, the series establishes a direct connection to one of the most cryptic and profound elements of the Vita Carnis lore. And finally, what would Vita Carnis be without its signature hidden video? This time we're shown a rather short clip, but it's visually disturbing. Here it is. as usual, the audio is reversed, but in this case, the sound is especially loud, distorted, and difficult to decipher. Even so, I thought I could make out a few lines at the beginning, like, "It's all your fault they died. It was your responsibility." As for the visuals, some of them immediately reminded me of that poor family who tragically died during a harvester attack back in Season 1. We also see quick flashes of several mimics and the lifeless body of Dr. Farron Brones. Who do you think this message is meant for? And what else do you think is being said in the rest of the audio? Let me know your theories in the comments. I can't wait to read them. The second season of Vita Carnis reaches its peak not through a single event, but through the simultaneous collapse of every structure that had been barely holding this world together. And that's exactly where the episode begins, in pure chaos. The first thing we see is a barrage of news broadcasts, an unfiltered look at the planet's current state, different channels, different anchors, but all delivering the same message: the world is failing. On the West Coast, wildfires have grown so massive that entire regions are now inaccessible. Authorities are issuing nationwide alerts about air quality, smoke levels, toxicity. Protests are breaking out across the country. Reports of mimics in advanced evolutionary stages devouring people are becoming more common, and more voices claim that the harvesters are migrating, moving toward a specific point. This connects directly to what we saw in Season 1, when maps showed the harvesters following an increasingly precise circular pattern. After the news coverage, we see the last material Bruce Phoenix managed to gather before Carcass discovered and executed him. The first document is a progress report dated June 20th, 1995, a summary of all scientific tests conducted that month on multiple Vita Carnis species. It's highly technical, but it reveals several critical points. DNA analysis of the crawl shows classified irregularities. Trimmings are not considered viable food by meat snakes, mimics, or harvesters. Meat snake skin displays prolonged resistance to extreme temperatures. Mimics show no competitive behavior in controlled environments. Long-term exposure to host of influence spores remains under study, though we already saw the results in the previous video. Tests confirm that these creatures possess natural swimming abilities. And lastly, researchers conclude that a unified hive mind across all species is impossible. Next is an audio recording from March 20th, 1991. It's a report from the leader of Alpha Team after the assault on Facility Zero and the mass capture of the cult members. In the recording, he describes the mission as a complete success. All targets secured, specimens contained, minimal enemy casualties. Everything went perfectly. Too perfectly. For the first time, he admits something felt off. There were powerful people inside that facility, yet the building was guarded by only a handful of security officers. He questions why an organization, clearly capable of infiltrating governments and manipulating entire populations, would leave its most important base so poorly defended. The episode continues with what appears to be a routine internal maintenance report. Seismic activity around the facilities is increasing. Wild Vita Carnis populations are gathering near Carcass, as if drawn to something. The base is expanding according to suggestions from the singularities. According to the singularities, certain employees' performance is declining. More terminations are recommended, and multiple essential maintenance tasks have been delayed for months. Then we're shown a set of confidential Carcass blueprints. The blueprints reveal the development of devices, machines, and structures built directly from Vita Carnis organisms. These are hybrid mechanisms, wires and circuits fused with biological tissue, and each one appears to serve a critical role in a larger project. These machines aren't human inventions, they're artifacts engineered under non-human guidance. Carcass isn't building technology to contain Vita Carnis, they're likely building technology for them. After the blueprints, we see a letter addressed to the director of Carcass, Marshal Tridos. Dear Dr. Marshal Tridos, it has come to our attention that you have managed to achieve something great. We understand that our previous interactions have not been ideal. We are willing to move past our conflicting past and move forward in light of this new achievement. And what an achievement it is indeed. Your facility managed to do what we have spent the entirety of our assembly's lifetime dedicated to in a matter of 2 years. We have underestimated you yet again. We understand that you have had the honor of communicating to the entities themselves. How blessed you are to be in the presence of such greatness. You have seen it too, haven't you? They have shown you their divine will. the great plan. We know you are assisting them in the construction of their tools, and we would be honored to give our full, complete support and fidelity. For we both now follow the will of the Master. We are happy to once again work towards this common goal together. For wonder and wisdom, we serve our Lord. The cult openly acknowledges that Carcass has achieved what they never could. They praise and celebrate them, calling them blessed for having spoken with the entities, and they declare that they now share the same goals. Carcass and the cult have been collaborating for a long time. Trados isn't merely leading Carcass, he's serving the singularities, and all of Carcass's scientific research has been rerouted toward fulfilling the plan of these entities. Next, we see an internal registry listing the infiltrators inside Carcass. Two of the names stand out immediately: Farron Brones, the mimic expert abandoned on purpose; Bruce Phoenix, the informant who paid with his life; and Minerva Janis, a previously unknown infiltrator. The document confirms that Carcass knew exactly who was leaking information and that terminations would continue. But there's more. Right after the list of executed infiltrators appears another one: new employees hired to replace the traitors. Among them, in case there was any remaining doubt, are cult members. Then we're shown security camera footage from inside Carcass. We see an employee walking alone through the corridors until he reaches the archive storage room. Without hesitation, he sets everything on fire. This employee is none other than Vincent Barrer, infiltrating the organization under a false identity. A man who lost his family to the Vita Carnis. A man who has devoted his life to sabotaging, destroying, and exposing the truth at any cost. This fire is an act of desperation, but also an act of war. Vincent is, in many ways, the face of the human resistance, and the singularities notice. After the fire, the screen cuts, and we see the singularities floating in the dark, talking among themselves, likely discussing Vincent before unleashing the greatest chaos the series has shown so far.
Causing trouble. Little hug. Your effort is paid.
We see you.
We know you.
You had no choice, didn't you?
Realism cause irritating, pestering, sneering impotence. But I see
Beyond. I see potential. I look past what is.
and look for what can be. We watch you grow and rise. Why overlook such promise? And so far, that's all we can see. Just empty promise.
The species fails to see. Fails.
Craves to be guided. And blindly follows. But you,
Little dog.
you have shown us otherwise. You had no choice.
But also no choice.
Didn't you? You did what had to be done.
Taking action.
I respect that greatly. Be proud of yourself.
We stand out on this side, sharing this.
Curse. I praise you. But still, you had no chance. We see you. We know you.
We knew you would try.
We counted on it. Your other too reckless.
Blinded by our
Grandeur. We shall take it from here. Detach from them. They have used up their worth.
not like you.
Go now. Your passion has spared you. Continue to feed us.
We take our leave.
Much to be done. Still, much action to do.
We are recording here from a safe distance. There appears to be large pillars of smoke rising from the facility. You can hear the emergency alarms ring. You can also hear what sounds like crashing coming from within the building as well. The carcass facility could have suffered a major malfunction as, hold on, it appears that several objects have blown out from smoke. Bright red spots. More objects have rise. Oh god. They're making some sort of noise, and the ground is even shaking. We have to go.
The 7 entities hover in the void, speaking with a tone that is almost contemplative. They call Vincent a little bug, question his actions, acknowledge his drive, his stubbornness, his ability to defy forces far beyond his understanding. They compare him to the rest of humanity, blind, obedient, vulnerable. And then comes the shocking part. They respect him, and just when it seems like they might destroy him, they say something completely unexpected. They're not going to eliminate him, they need him. They say he has given them a reason to break away from the cult, that Carcass has exhausted its usefulness. Vincent's rebellion becomes the catalyst for something enormous, as if the singularities see in him a spark of what humanity could become, or perhaps a tool for what they're about to do. The singularities abandon the facility, and as they leave, they dematerialize every Vita Carnis creature held captive inside Carcass. The ecosystem is no longer fragmented. Everything reunites under a single will. And then the monoliths awaken, those colossal beings over 120 meters tall, beings that, until now, only emitted electromagnetic pulses when disturbed, begin to move. They become active and head toward a single point, the singularities. The consequences are immediate: massive blackouts, infrastructure collapse, global interference, widespread panic, chaos. The world was not prepared for the monoliths to move, or for them to act together, or to obey a higher power. But even that isn't the end. Amid the disaster, something entirely new appears. A flying creature never seen before. An immense, unknown being cutting through the skies, as if representing the final stage of a process we are only beginning to understand. This moment changes everything. The episode ends without explanations, without clarity, only with the undeniable fact that the world has been reshaped. Humanity has lost control. Carcass has fallen for good, and the singularities have become the dominant force on Earth. What are they going to do now? What role will Vincent play? What future awaits humanity? Questions we will have to wait to answer, because the second season of Vita Carnis has come to an end. So, what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love reading them. If you want more videos like this, don't forget to support this one as much as possible and share it with as many people as you can. Also, make sure to follow me on my other social media platforms, where I post exclusive content you won't find here on YouTube. And most importantly, a massive shout out to the channel members. Seriously, thank you all so much. If you'd like to become a member, just click the join button next to the subscribe button to unlock tons of perks and exclusive emojis while supporting me. If you're interested, join in. I'll be forever grateful. And remember, this video was made by a cat, and cats can't talk. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you soon.